이제는요, 멀리 남아프리카에서 보내온 영상을 함께 시청하시겠는데요. 줄루바구니를 제작하는 시네꾸꾸 무쿠누 작가님이십니다. 줄루바구니 현대 공예로의 재탄생이라는 주제로 강연을 준비해 주셨는데요. 이 시네꾸꾸 무쿠누 작가님께서는 할머니이신 뷰티 바센빌레 응원고와 함께 밤비 줄루 공방을 운영하고 계신다고 합니다. 이 남아프리카의 전통적인 줄루 바구니를 현대화시키는 작업을 하고 계신다고 하는데요. 그러면 작가님을 화면으로 만나보시죠.
Hello, Cheonju Craft Biennial 2021. 안녕하십니까? I hope I got that correct. Thank you so much for having me. I am Sinequoku Mkhunu. I am the founder and director for Bambi Zulu. Bambi Zulu is a craft, more specifically Zulu basketry making company. I'm participating this year. I was supposed to be there, but unfortunately due to COVID restrictions, I could not make it there. But I am so happy to have been part of this craft show this year. Today I'm just going to take everyone through to what Zulu basketry is, traditionally, and where we have taken it, especially now in the modern world and society of design and interior design. I am a weaver, I am a creatress, I'm a creator, and I direct creations made by Bambi Zulu and Bambi Zulu weavers. So I have quite a lot of knowledge when it comes to Zulu basketry. My grandmother is also a master weaver, Beauty Ngongo. We all come from a small area in KwaZulu-Natal called Hlabisa. And Hlabisa is really well known for making the best Zulu baskets because of its quality, because of the colors, and because of how natural the baskets that we make are. They are all made from natural plants. Nothing is chemical. From the lala palm to the grass to the dyes, everything is natural and is from nature. So I'd like to share with you what this truly is and where it comes about and how we make it and where we are taking it in the design industry. So without further ado, please sit and watch this video. Thank you so much. And I hope that everything goes well with this year's Craft Biennial. Hopefully I could come and join in towards the end of the show so that I can get to experience other cultures and what everyone else brought to the table. Thank you. How much do you know? And in this time, I'd like to teach you more about Zulu basketry. Did you know that the Ilala palm frond is traditionally the preferred weaving material for the Zulu people? This plant has for many centuries, in addition to providing weaving materials, it has been used for many other things including thatching, mats, sandals, and a source of intoxicating palm wine called injemane. The palm fronds are sustainably harvested in the northernmost region of KwaZulu-Natal and is traded to weavers. We utilize a grass cord wrapped with the Ilala fronds to create Zulu baskets. The process begins with the purchasing of Ilala palm fronds from traders who harvest the fronds in a sustainable manner. As you can see in this video, we have the Ilala palm plants. The best quality of Ilala palm fronds come from the northernmost part of the KwaZulu-Natal province and within the district's municipality that we reside. The Ilala palm is one of the most versatile of plants and has been utilized for centuries by the Zulu people for thatching and for making mats, baskets, and sandals. The palm sap is also used to make intoxicating drinks called injemane. Grass selections varies from weaver to weaver and is particularly influenced by location. We select river grasses, which provide several benefits including rendering the isichumo baskets watertight, preventing deterioration, and providing a uniformity of weave that is aesthetically pleasing. We pull the palm frond into strips and dye the strips utilizing seasonal fruits, roots, and barks of specific trees to obtain a variety of colors. Dyeing the palm fronds is partially traditional, handed down from older masters, partially science and alchemy, and largely governed by the creativity and experience of the individual weaver as they experiment according to their artistic drive for every different color variation, thereby turning a traditional craft into a vibrant art that expresses the weaver's individuality. The cost of a basket is significantly influenced by the type of dyes utilized to stain the palm fronds, as the overall processes are time-consuming and expensive, and some dye processes may take up to a few weeks to complete. In general, weaving a Zulu basket is very time-consuming and laboring, which is what determines the price, especially when the basket has complex colors and is of supreme quality. Craft art embraces both the conceptualism of art and the functionalism of craftsmanship, embracing both and leaving out neither. We should not try to box people like Beauty Ngongo, who creates such amazing work to be contemplated as a work of art. Let the people get on with the work and leave definitions to the academics. Everything that is done here is through the wisdom of the hands, the sublime confluence of the head or intellect and the hands. Traditional ways of making have accumulated over generations. They are passed down from person to person, often through apprenticeships, and learned through repetition. Innovation making is more exploratory, with the potential to open up dramatic new directions, which is why Bambizulu decided to collaborate with Outlander, Beauty Ngongo, and Mesh Tea Design Studio to make a never-before-made Hlabisa bench. Here, art meets craft meets contemporary design in a collaborative mashup that has the global design world casting around for superlatives. Introducing the Hlabisa bench, which is spearheading the second wave of acclaim for the wise and wonderful weavers of Hlabisa and northern KwaZulu-Natal. This bench truly is an object of beauty, not at least because Master Weaver Beauty Ngongo and a team of weavers from Hlabisa poured hundreds of hours into helping to craft it. It's the perfect fusion of high art and functional living, something not just to sit on, but a feature furniture piece, talking point, and collector's items. By embracing the world of interior and industrial design, new markets and new opportunities are being opened up for these weavers, while generating much needed income in the COVID-19 depressed creative economy. As the Sunday Times in our country pointed out, this design collab also heralds new beginnings for the ancient craft of Zulu weaving. The Hlabisa bench is the product of a dynamic South African collaboration between Mesh Tea furniture designer Thabisa Mjo and the multi-award weaving beaded tutu maker, and Outlander and Beauty Ngongo and Bambizulu. It has made waves globally for its seamless marriage of design, technology, and craftsmanship with a traditional meets contemporary storytelling twist. As I've spoken about the seamless blend of the Tlabisa bench being put into interior design, and just looking at the seamless blend of the history about Zulu basketry and now mending it into modern design, I hope you get the idea of where the Zulu basketry comes from, and I've touched a little on its history. Historically, I'll repeat again, historically Zulu baskets were used as beer containers and storages for solids, and also it was used to gift people during weddings, and it was more of a male dominated skill until the 1960s, where there was a project in the Tlabisa area that required women to like do something for themselves, and which was when the skill was passed on to women, as men used to work in mines in South Africa and women never really had jobs unless they were supposed to be maids in white people's houses. And so the ones that were left alone in the villages got an opportunity from the church to learn the skill, and then it just manifested into what it is known as now. But in the 1980s, it was then discovered by people who were collecting craft, and it was taken overseas. And from then on, Beauty Ngongo was discovered, who then was recognized as one of the master weavers of the craft. Her work has been in the Smithsonian and in many international galleries and museums. So from then on, I came into the scene around 2011 to help my grandmother get into the market, as I was just observing how she's been in this market for so long, but we are still living the way that we were. So I started like gaining interest into the crafts and arts that she was doing and all of the other ladies were doing, because I grew up seeing this art. I grew up seeing it. I grew up watching my mom do it, but it was just such a thing that you would literally see that, okay, we are still living in poverty, yet you're doing this beautiful work, and you go overseas all the time and you celebrate it overseas, but I see no change from where we are. So I one day was in varsity and I saw a text about my grandmother in one of our lectures. I was like, this is about my grandmother, but it's so weird because I'm here in university and I'm seeing this text about Zulu Basuchi and my grandmother. I'm like, but we hardly can have food to eat at home, and she's in textbooks and she's celebrated. When you Google her name, you see where her work has been collected. So I took matters into my own hands. At that time, I was doing nursing, and one of my electives in nursing was anthropology, which was where, when I went to the lecture, I found out about my grandmother in anthropology class. So after that, it just made me realize that, okay, my calling definitely isn't nursing. I really am interested in what my grandmother and my mother has been doing for years. So from then on, I decided that I am going to drop out of nursing and I'm going to put my energy in the work of crafts in Zulu basketry. So I dropped out. My parents are not happy about that. My mother was not happy at all about that, but I tried to make it work. I've signed myself up into business school and I started learning how to craft with my grandmother. I would sit with her and look at her do the work now attentively with the interest of trying to know what is actually happening. So I do the work with her and then I started taking orders for her. I created a website. At that time, it was free to create your own website. There was a platform that you could. And I started taking in orders for her. And from then on, I then started traveling with her overseas. My first trip with my grandmother was to New Mexico in Santa Fe. It was also my first time in America. And the second time was in India for the international trade fair in New Delhi. So with this came the knowledge of international trading, making Zulu basketry, and it garnered more interest into crafts for me. And then finally, when going overseas and knowing all of this, I came across other individual artists, and they were like, you know what, because your grandmother is getting older now, it would be advisable for you to learn how to trade on your own and go overseas and try to enter the market at your own pace. So I went to France, I went to Paris, and then I met up with other younger individuals there, which was where I met up with Tabisa Joe of Mesh Tea Design Studio. There with Tabisa, she was doing her pendants, her light pendants, the tutu one that got very good reviews, and I got many rewards and awards in South Africa. So she and I sat, and then we just started talking about ideas, especially about Zulu basketry, because she was like, I like the work that you guys are doing with your grandmother. Have you ever thought about extending it into furniture? And I was like, yes, I have, but I had no idea really how to, besides just making it into wall pieces, which is the work that is there at the Paniel today. So we came together and we agreed that as soon as we go back to South Africa, we will try and collaborate on something that would work, that is brand new, that is fresh, that no one has ever seen before. So I was excited about this, but at the same time, I was like, how are we going to do this? But as soon as we started, I saw all the possibilities on where this is going to go and how it's going to really benefit the community, and how it's going to now turn a traditional, underappreciated craft into really getting into the interior design scene, and also being looked at and appreciated as not just an art that is cheap, but also an art that takes time, that needs to be appreciated. So with that, Tabisa and I got together in South Africa, and we only started with a flower pot. To be honest, before we even went to the Tabisa bench, we started with a flower pot, which is kind of like a vase. So I made a black and white vase for her. She tried it out, and it wasn't much of a hit. And then one day I get a call from Tabisa, and she's like, hey, there are these guys at Houtlander. They are interested in doing the bench. Do you think that we could weave onto the bench? And then we did weave onto the bench. And I was like, okay, come. My grandma is going to New Mexico. Not New Mexico, New Orleans. But we'll make a plan with the other weavers, and we'll try to make this happen. My grandmother started probably a quarter of the bench, went to New Orleans, and with the time left, I was left to manage the bench along with Mantulu, who was a weaver. So we did this, and it became a hit. in fact, it became such a hit that when it went to Paris for a show, it was scooped up by a member of the Hermes family, Hermes that makes Birkins. So it just made waves all over. And then that is when I realized that how powerful it is to actually innovate and not stick to just traditional ways of making things. Incorporating it into arts made something so unique that we started getting recognized as the community of Hlabisa. So it was exciting. It was really exciting. It was nice to see that just a change of ideology on how to make things can bring so many opportunities, which is what I encourage now, is that don't just stick to one way of doing things. Try and collaborate with other artists. Try and meet up with other creatives and try to be open to doing things differently, because you just never know where it could lead you and where it could lead your work. It was particularly important for me because I come from a very, very poor region in northern KwaZulu-Natal, in Hlabisa. And getting the opportunity that I did was not only helpful for me and my grandmother, it is helpful for the whole of the community of Hlabisa. I cannot even explain how much it has helped the community. The recognition, the orders that came after that, just during COVID, where most businesses had closed down and most people have lost their jobs, it's when the whole process, the whole facade of the Zulu basketry being meshed onto new technology and innovation, which was when we actually saw its trend. It was crazy. It started trending and people started taking interest in it, and more ideas even came about. So in this particular instance, we just started making more tables, woven tables. We have made them before. The first time we made tables was around 2013, but they were never given recognition. They were collected only in the United States. And then for the first time in South Africa, South Africans want us to make our woven tables. Like looking at something that was just a beer pot into a table now, and collectible art at the same time. So this was an exciting opportunity for us, as we still do continue making the tables alongside Mesh Tea Design Studio and our own too at bambizulu.com. And we started making lamps as well, using our Zulu basketry and Lala. And you know, the list continues, and it continues on and on and on. Innovation and ideas do not stop. And that's the fun part about being innovative. It does not stop. It does not stop. You just never know when you will create something that will be so inspiring and innovative to other people. So I really encourage every designer out there to don't just stop and don't be closed-minded. Just continue working with other people, continue entering in new spaces, because you just never know where that will take you. You just never know who loves your work enough to want to merge with you and create something new. So I'll leave this video with that one advice in mind, that be open to new ideas with your work. As good as you are, and you may be a master at what you do, but always be a scholar, always be a learner, and accept innovation, because you don't know where that one open-mindedness would take you and would take your community from where you're from. Because it's not always about you, it's also about the people that you represent with that work too. So thank you so much for having me, and I hope this video gave and shed light with how we do Zulu posture and how it's transitioned to now being in contemporary design, and how we as the game players in Zulu posture still want to continue thriving and still want to continue learning and innovating new things. Thank you so much.
시네꾸꾸, 시네꾸꾸 무쿠누 작가님께서는 자연 친화적인 재료로 줄루 바구니를 현대화시키는 재탄생시키는 작업을 하고 계신다고 합니다. 멀리 남아프리카에서 보내주신 영상이었습니다. 이상으로 오전 프로그램으로 준비됐던 세션 1 문화유산 동시대 공예로의 변용 강연을 모두 마무리하겠습니다. 지금까지 시청하셨던 모든 강연 영상은요, 9월 15일 이후 저희 청주공예비엔날레 홈페이지에서 만나보실 수 있습니다. 이 점 참고 부탁드리고요. 여러분의 많은 관심, 참여 또한 부탁드리겠습니다. 네, 여러분 퇴장하시기 전에 지금 가지고 계셨던 동시통역 리시버는 모두 리셉션 데스크에 반납을 부탁드리겠습니다. Please return all the receivers to the reception desk before leaving. Thank you. 네, 그럼 잠시 후 2시부터 저희는 세션 2, 공예 경계를 넘어서라는 주제로 강연을 마저 이어듣도록 하겠습니다. 저는 이 자리에서 2시에 다시 찾아뵙겠습니다. 여러분 감사합니다.
Thank you.